Hey you guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about Israel and Palestine a little bit more in depth. I had done a moment of silence in one of my videos, but I wanted to take the time really to devote it its own video because I think it deserves it. I feel like we're in a time right now, a crucial time. First of all, let me just say this candidly. I think Netanyahu and Donald Trump are cut from the same cloth, baby. Same cloth. Racism, xenophobia, sexism, it has impact. You cannot take part in those things and walk away, and then when everything blows up behind you, say, hey, well, why did all of that blow up behind me? That's what those things cause. And in a world where we've made so many steps towards progress, towards living together, cohabitating as people from different backgrounds, different religions, different socioeconomic classes, different faith doctrines, different sexual orientations. As we've made so much progress, when a few extreme personalities try to yank all of that progress back, it's going to end in a very, very dramatic, often violent way. A 6-year-old boy in the United States, a 6-year-old Muslim Palestinian boy was stabbed 20-something odd times by a white supremacist who said that he needed to take Muslim people out of the country. He needed to get rid of them. Stabbed this 6-year-old boy, killed this baby, and injured his mom greatly. I hope she's still alive. I hope, because at that point she was fighting for her life. Listen to this. It's just it's not right, and I'm not saying that all of these lives are on Netanyahu. But Netanyahu stoked that fear. He stoked that white fear, even though in this context it's white Jewish fear, and he did that. That he's been playing from that playbook of other people, other the Palestinians, other Muslims, and it's part of it, And if you look at the past 100 years, Israel take a shot, Palestine take a shot. Israel take a shot, Palestine take a shot. Until we get to that place, because Donald Trump opened up this can of worms. He did. I know that Palestine and Israel had problems far before Donald Trump ever came into the scene. The problem is the reason you see more and more and more of these sort of mini civil wars happening all over, happening in Europe, happening in the Middle East, happening in Africa, happening in America, it's because he stoked that othering fear. That fear that just says, I'm going to other you. Netanyahu quite literally presented a map, not but a few weeks ago, that completely eradicated Palestine. There was no Palestine there. There was just Israel. So, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. The thing is I saw something on Lipstick Alley where someone said, black folks, stay up out of Israel and Palestine. And I get that. I get that inclination to want to sort of isolate yourself to your cultural group and keep yourself safe. I get that. The problem is that complicity is why we are in this situation, this global situation of hate that we're in right now. Too many people saying, let me just not say anything because I don't want to stir the feathers. I don't want to get doxxed. Look at how much doxing is happening, I don't want to be threatened by some weirdos or some trolls online. Okay. But when every single person does that over and over and over and over again, is spineless, is cowardly, in the face of injustice, in the face of hatred, of racism, of xenophobia, of sexism, of homophobia, of prejudice against disabled people, You know, every single time that happens, that opens up the door more for it to keep happening. And you know what? Right now, it might be brown Muslims, it might be Palestinians who are being targeted. But you as that black person, you might be next. You as that Latino or that Asian or that white person, whoever you are, you might be next. It's why we're in the situation we're in right now. Listen to it yourself. Listen to it yourself. This is what someone said. I want to pull it up for you because it was so stark to me that I quite literally couldn't really believe my eyes. And, you know, what I said about Netanyahu is not just me. That's what Jewish Israeli people are saying as well. But before we get to that, listen to what somebody said on Lipstick Alley. This person said, black people stay out of the Israel-Palestine conflict. People are getting fired, doxxed, and attacked on the internet for their opinions on this situation. Israel and Palestine have been fighting for years and will continue to do so. My questions to you are, one, how does this have any effect on your black life? Okay, and my answer to that is what I just told you. They'll come after them right now, but you will eventually be next. Complicity opens the door for more hate. That's why. And two, is it worth your livelihood? Well, honestly, in the generational aspect, yes, kinda, it is. Because look at it right now, where black people in America, across the board, in government, in middle management, in executive leadership, in entertainment, they're getting shut out of the door, shut out of the room, shut out of the conversations. Why? Why, pray tell you? It's because when Donald Trump came on the scene, so many black people just said, oh, well, I'm just going to stay out of that. That doesn't concern me, don't concern my paycheck. No, that's what opens the door up. Okay, do you think that the civil rights era of the 1960s would have happened if people just said, I'm just going to leave my black ass up out of that? No, with this Uncle Tomery. So this person said, I lived in Israel. I saw the conflict firsthand. I understand the conflict and my sympathy is with Palestine. So first of all, it's like, what? Your sympathy is with Palestine, but you're sitting here saying this. But not so much that I would ruin my own life for their justice. Nobody's asking you to ruin your own life. Not when black people suffer globally at the hands of white people. Okay, this is a part of that. And will never receive reparations or legal protections ever. Now you just sound negative. Where do you get this negative attitude from? So this person says, stay in your lane. These white people do not care about you. Don't martyr yourself for these causes that will not make your daily existence better. Let them white folks fight. How ignorant do you sound? Someone says, call me bad, but I genuinely don't give a about what has been happening. Been muting the keywords like Israel, Palestine, war, all on mute in Twitter. So now y'all just gonna pretend like it's not happening. 1,000 people have died. How can you sit here for to be honest and say that you want people to care about Black Lives Matter, but you have people and their children dying, and you're sitting here muting it on Twitter? Come on. So this is someone who's taken my stance, okay? Someone says the idea that you shouldn't care about a specific issue because it doesn't affect you directly is ignorant. And honestly, I would not be surprised if this is a plant, if this is not even an African American person who posted this original thread, because I've been seeing a lot of that. People who basically want to make black people seem ignorant, but it's actually a white person behind the keyboard. I don't know if that's the case, and it's probably not. I mean, it probably is just a person who's got, I don't know, maybe some internalized, I don't know. But, anyway, this person continues and says, that is literally what empathy is, especially because as black people, we are always asking others to pay attention and care about injustices against us. But with that being said, I agree that you shouldn't risk your livelihood giving an opinion about this if your job will be on the line. Okay, I can at least, okay, if your job is on the line, okay. That's why I don't blame certain celebs for not speaking out, because either way you're gonna get dragged. Plus, it's not like people actually care which side a celeb supports. They just want to validate their own feelings about that celebrity. That's enough from that. Listen to this. This is an article from the Jerusalem Post. And it is entitled, Israelis Blame Government for Hamas Massacre, Say Netanyahu Must Resign. And this is based off of a poll. This was posted on October 12th, 2023. And this was from Jerusalem Post staff. So, you know, the writer or the writers decided to remain anonymous in this, because that's what fascism does. You know, it springs up this environment of silencing, of ridicule if someone says you're not doing a good job, if someone says you're being hateful and divisive. So it says an overwhelming majority of 86% of respondents, including 79 of coalition supporters, said the surprise attack from Gaza is a failure of the country's leadership. It goes on to say 4 out of 5 Jewish Israelis believe the government and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are to blame for the mass infiltration of Hamas terrorists into Israel and the massacre that followed. A new Dialogue Center poll released on Thursday found. An overwhelming majority, or 86% of respondents, including 79% of coalition supporters, said the surprise attack from Gaza is a failure of the country's leadership, with a staggering 92% said the war is causing anxiety. In conclusion, it talks about Netanyahu needing to resign. It says Netanyahu must resign after the war's conclusion, Israelis say. Says in addition, most respondents said they do not trust the government to lead the war on Gaza, though the poll was conducted before former Defense Minister Ben Gantz joined an emergency unity government on Wednesday evening. So I said it's a little bit dated. But no, Netanyahu did all of that othering for the Muslims. He basically essentially just said he wanted a pure Jewish Israel, pure Jewish Gaza, you know, and so what do you expect? Come on. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter what your color is. And I'm trying to see if I'm making this really clear. Basically, what I want to say is, at the end of the day, I feel like it doesn't matter what your race, your color, your background is. You should be condemning racism, violence, terrorism, fascism, sexism, othering in all forms. Whether it comes from an Israeli person, a white person, a Jewish person in America, a Jewish person in Israel, a Palestinian person. It doesn't matter, you know? It doesn't matter. Violence is not the way. Violence is not the way. And black people specifically, if I'm talking to you guys out there, go back and look at what our ancestors, go back and look at what the ancestors with the civil rights movement of the 1960s, but also the one of the 1920s and Reconstruction. Go back and look at the ancestors. Go back and look at the ancestors in Africa. You will realize many, many, many times people of African descent have took the stance of, I'm going to combat this with my mind, with my empathy, and not with my fists, not with violence. Don't include the Black Panthers in that, because the Black Panthers was like, hell no. Which if that's where you are, I can't change that. You know, every person is responsible for their own doings, but that's how we've gotten into this time, is that I'm sorry, y'all. We don't really have any space for nuance. You know, we can't recognize that stuff in life involves critical thinking and involves looking at things that are complex, that have negatives and positives wrapped all up in it. But at the end of the day, people should be able to be safe. They should be able to be with their families and be loved. They should be able to get the jobs, the opportunities that they deserve based on who they are, what their qualifications are, but not on, you know, their skin color or their sex or whatever it is. That's it. You know, treat others as you want to be treated. This war in Israel that's happening, you know, what Netanyahu and the Israeli government was doing to the Palestinians before all of this happened, is that the way that you would want to be treated? No. Okay, so boom. Take it on back to kindergarten. Treat others how you want to be treated. I don't know. I want to know what y'all think.